What's up, my dudes? Let's talk about this whole Erode thing. I know we're getting close to the Supercross season. Not exactly sure what they're planning on doing. I know they didn't really run too much or at all Erode in their recent FAM MX race. At least that's what I heard. So I don't really know what's going to go down, but I just wanted to kind of make this video just to refresh everybody's memory, because you guys know past couple months I've been getting on my server riding on the 17 Supercross tracks with no Erode on them, like it's the good old days, right? Just been playing the game like before Erode ever even existed. Well, here recently I hopped in 04, and which is the official Supercross server, right? And the way it works is everybody can kind of vote on the Erode, okay? Everybody can put in a certain vote, and then it can be any level of Erode on it whatsoever, right? Any Erode. Well, I get on there, and Erode is like 5 times too much for the amount of people and the amount of laps. Okay, it runs 8 laps, and you basically got a full gate of people on 04 all the time, right? And Erode is like on, I don't even know what it was on, but it is 5 times too high, literally unrideable. It just gets to that point where the Erode gets so high that it not only creates a lot more lag, but then it also creates where the Erode gets built so fast that it doesn't even really build it right. You understand what I'm saying? There's a completely different thing with Erode whenever you build Erode slowly over time versus a lot of Erode quickly, right? Like, I've never liked it when the Erode gets made a lot quickly. It's 10,000 times better whenever it's made really low Erode, but then you run a lot of laps, so then over time it gets hardcore, but it doesn't get hardcore quick, you know? So either way, that's basically 04 is pretty much pointless riding in right now, because when you try to vote the Erode down, you can't put the vote in time before the server automatically restarts. So then you're literally just stuck with a 5 times too high Erode level. Everybody's tiptoeing in their absolute Jordans going -5 miles an hour, because you know if you barely get on the gas, you're just going to hit some sort of kicker or slide, or, you know, if you want to win a race in 04, literally go 1/4 of your normal speed and shift quicker. Like, that's what the game has turned into. That's what MX Simulator has turned into. Go 1/4 of your actual speed and just shift quicker so you don't slide. That's it. I mean, that's literally the whole game now. It's ridiculous. Like, if you knew the game back then, you would be laughing at how sad it is now, how pitiful it is now. But I'm just saying, one big thing about Erode, and this is something I noticed with getting back on 04, like, it's one of those things, just looking at gameplay of it and looking at it, it doesn't even actually seem as bad as what it really is. Like, it's a bizarre thing, but it doesn't look like the ruts and the roughness and the kickers and all that are as bad as they actually feel when you're on the track. It's really hard to explain that, but the way that it makes this janky, triangled, weird sort of digging down in concrete effect when it's making the terrain deformation in the game, it feels a lot worse than what it might seem like from a YouTube video or just looking at it, right? So some of you guys that don't really play this game, don't really pro race in this game, you could easily get that thought in your head like, oh, those ruts aren't even that big, Spencer. Oh, that roughness doesn't even look that bad. What are you talking about, bro? That's not even bad, dude. Yeah, times what you're thinking it looks like by about 10, and that's what it feels like. I'm just telling you, that's what it feels like, because there's no cushion to the dirt. There's no softness to the dirt, and you have to apply that into your head. It's not like looking at terrain deformation on reflex. You can't compare it the same way, because that sort of terrain deformation is actually on a soft, you know, plush dirt fill. Like, there's actually cushion to the dirt, whereas MX Simulator, you're digging down in concrete because there's no cushion at all in it. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, there's so many issues with it, but the big thing I've realized that is super bizarre about it is the fact that, why does Erode seem to make the track feel slick? Why does it do that? It's like something with the way that it makes the Erode in the game, it will, you know, kind of warp down and change that base layer of concrete, right? But for whatever reason, it makes it slick in the game. It's like the game is literally not even made for Erode. Why would it make it slick? RF, JLV, whoever's really pushing a road, why would it even do that? It's terrible. It feels terrible. When every track feels slick with just a little bit of a road on it, it makes everything feel slick. Like, why does it do that? I don't understand. I literally don't understand that at all. The big thing about it is, I feel like is happening is it's got just enough of a little, because, okay, let me put it to you this way. If you get on like a pre-made track that's got a lot of ruts or a lot of roughness or a gnarly pre-made, motocross or supercross track, it doesn't feel slick like this. But as soon as you turn a road on, then it's slicker than ice. Like, what the hell? It's like something in that is making your tire not connect to the ground, right? Like, typically when you don't have a road on, there's a certain gluedness that your tire is to the dirt, right? That it has a certain, like, connection to the dirt. But when you start having specifically a road, the terrain deformation of the game on the track, it just makes everything feel 3 times as slick. I don't know why it shouldn't even do that. So that's one really massive issue I don't know how they're ever going to fix. But not only that, but also just the, 3 laps in kicker on every single jump. Like, it becomes so unpredictable. I mean, even in real life, whenever you have a lot of really rough track or whatever, you got a lot of ruts going in places and all that, it doesn't really make the track slicker. And it also doesn't give you this super sketchy kicker on every single jump face on lap 3 effect either, right? It's just like, and then on top of all that, I understand now in the modern day, and this is where a lot of people get confused, they look at like the very last lap of a real life main event, they're like, dude, that's so chewed up, dude, the whoops are so cupped out, look at the jump faces, they're so gnarly, dude, oh my gosh. And then you go to like MX Simulator without a road, and it's like, dude, what the hell, that's track's so smooth, what's going on? Like, whatever, and you're not understanding, okay? You can design all of that with pre-made. You don't even have to have a road. And the whole point of that, okay, is in real life, I would argue that it don't even really change that much from the first lap to the last lap of an actual main event. Does it change a lot from like qualifying to the first heat race? Yes. Does it change a lot from the heat races to the LCQs? Quite a bit, right? Does it change a lot from the heat races to the last lap of the main event? Yes, it does. Does it change a whole lot from the first lap of the main event to the last lap of the main event? Not really. I mean, it changes some, but it's some of you dudes are acting like every single track needs to go from perfectly smooth 0 to 100 within the actual race. And my argument is that it would be better if you just did that pre-made. Just made it some of the tracks a little more rough and ruddy pre-made. Like, that's my whole argument, because it's not even making those little micro ruts coming out of the corner as it is anyways. Even with the current system of a road, it's not even making it how it is in real life anyways. You get this bizarre, like, wannabe multiple ruts in a corner, but it ends up not really being like that. And you almost can't even, that's what's crazy. You can't even see it, but it's enough to literally take your front end down. That is insane. Like this right here, that isn't even, like if you just looked at that from a basic level, you would think, oh, that's just a little bit of a roughed up jump face, right? Just a little bit. Not even that bad. You'd think these little ruts in these corners, just a little bit, just rutted up a little bit. But when you're actually riding on it, it's god awful, dude. It's like you're hitting a kicker from hell when you jump off of something like that, and you can barely even see it. And do we have a bunch of little bitty multiple ruts coming out of the corner? No, not at all. Literally not at all. Oh, boys. It's just, man, this game is not, it's not ready for a road. It's not made for a road. It never was really made for a terrain deformation system. You just forced it. That's what happened. You just forced it. I would argue you could make 10 times better of a rut filling or roughness filling or kicker filling on this stuff pre-made wise than what a road can make. The only thing you're not going to have is that it changes within that one individual race. You could still have it change from the heat races to the main, or qualifying to the heat race, or, whatever. You could still have it change that much. You would just need like 2 versions of the track, like a qualifying version and a heat version, or a heat version and a main event version. And I'm telling you, that would be way closer to how real life would be than what this crap is making. I'm just telling you. That would be way more realistic. You would have the ruts, roughness, inside ruts, kickers, the whole 9, and it wouldn't feel janky. Oh, wow. A lot of you guys don't even know what non-janky pre-made actually feels like, because all you've ever rode on is a road, which is janky as shit. You've never even rode on the pre-made stuff. It's great, dude. It's awesome. It doesn't have that weird road slickness. You can actually dig in a rut, dig in multiple ruts versus this like kind of sort of multiple ruts, not really, or it'll make like one giant, you have to go in it, berm rut in a corner. You can avoid every bit of that with pre-made. Every bit of it. You can make a kicker that's actually a kicker and not just an absolute death wish, one random lap in the middle of the race, right? You can make a kicker actually feel like a kicker and not, oh, hey, you can get around this, you can go over this jump on lap 6, but you come around here on lap 7, no, we're just going to kill you. We're just going to make you crash for no reason. And there's no way to save it. Just all of a sudden, boom, you hit this random Erode kicker and you're just dead. It's just over, bro. Like, God. Okay, and my biggest problem with the whole Erode thing in this game is the fact that I don't feel like it adds any skill gap to the game. I really don't. I feel like it actually lowers the skill gap. And here's why I think that, okay? So what Erode does is it just slows everything down. It slows everybody down, okay? So you have to go slower if you want to win. You got to go about half your normal speed. You got to tiptoe in the corners so you don't, wreck on these weird eroded ruts in the corner. You got to tiptoe over jump faces so the kicker doesn't make you do a triple 360 no-scope backflip. So everybody's just going slower. Instead of actually like racing hard and going fast and really pushing each other and having cool battles and doing all this stuff, it's all about survival and let's try not to wreck on a road so we're all going super slow. It actually narrows the skill gap. You did realize that, right, RF? When you add this sort of a road, this janky of a terrain deformation system, it narrows it, okay? So you have less of a skill gap. So what that does is it brings the slower people up to where they can actually go faster, because the slower you go, the faster you are on a road. So it brings all them up. And then the true fast people in the game, the true Fresquezes and Roots and all these dudes that were really quick before Road came out, that next level, alien level of speed on MX Simulator where you're just railing around the corner, scrubbing over jump faces, hitting these massive lines, doing all this stuff, and staying actually glued to the ground, and you don't have this weird slick, feeling like you're on ice effect on a road. Back in those days, that took actual speed skill. You actually had to have speed, okay, to do well in a race. Now, you just have to have the ability to tone yourself down and ride at about half speed, and that's how you race the entire race after, like, lap 2. It's just such a different kind of racing. Like, in a road really shouldn't even do that. It shouldn't make you have to go slower. It really shouldn't, unless it's just like a Seattle round and you want to make it really, really gnarly for 1 or 2 rounds. But for the majority of the rounds, it shouldn't be making you have to go all that much slower. If anything, a rut should help you go faster, not slower. See, that's the whole problem with the road. It makes you have to go slower. But you would think having more ruts and all that kind of stuff would allow you to go faster, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't allow you to go faster because of how janky the little micro braking bump rough kicker crap that it also builds on top of these little ruts. It's just, man, unacceptable. It really is. In the current day and age of this game, this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And it's sad to see how different it is now. How it's... There was just another type of racing before this. It was another level of speed. There is such a skill gap between somebody that's like a top 10 pro with no Erode and a dude that's like a top 3 pro with no Erode. That is a gap and a half But when you're talking like top 10 dudes with the road and top 3 dudes with the road, it ain't really all that big of a gap. It's nowhere near the skill gap. Nowhere near. Because like I'm saying, all you got to do is be at a half of a decent speed level and then just manage it. Whereas if there's no road, you got to be able to actually gain that speed by speed skill. You've got to actually gain it through corner speed and big rhythm speed. That's the only way you can get better and faster when there's no road. But when there is a road, it's literally just slow down, hit the most basic triple rhythm because there's a kicker on the jump face. You can't hit a bigger jump. You go slower in the whoops because it's got a little bit of roughness on it. You go slower in the corners because they've got little janky ruts in them. You go slower over everything. And so then you have less skill gap. You see what I'm saying? Whereas if you had pre-made, you would have the best of both worlds. You would have all of that extra speed skill. You would not have any of that janky built or road, janky slick, janky kicker. You wouldn't have any of that. You would keep the speed skill gap to it, but then you would also have somewhat of a rut or rough track. You see what I'm saying? I would 10 to 1 rather have pre-made than a road. And it's getting to the point to where that road novelty is starting to wear off. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. But it's starting to wear off. It was kind of fun at first, right? Like, ooh, we're trying something different. Ooh, look at this. We got terrain deformation in MX Simulator. But now it's just starting to get kind of stupid. I mean, people are just starting to get tired of it. That's just the way it is. I mean, you can see it, us voting a road out last year, completely out of the game on the forums. Multiple different things going on, like, I'm telling you right now, RF, if it wasn't for people thinking you might run a road in 2020, they wouldn't even have it on in 04. They wouldn't even have voted for it to be on in 04. That's the only reason people are even running it right now, because they're trying to, quote unquote, train for what RF might run in 2020. You see what I'm saying? But if they knew you weren't going to, if they had that idea you weren't going to run a road in 2020, they really thought you weren't going to run it, there ain't a soul would be riding on it. I don't know, man. Hopefully they've learned their lesson over the past 2 years. Been the worst 2 years in RF history, basically. I don't even really know how you can question that, but that's really what's went down the past 2 years. Just look at the numbers, RF. Look at all the old school dudes that have left the game. Just look at that. That's all you got to look at. I mean, and then us voting it out on the forums completely. I mean, hello. At some point, you're going to have to start waking up a little bit to what people are saying, what the community is actually saying. The mass majority of the community, not the 5 people that love a road because they can actually do good on it. I'm talking about everybody else, okay? That's what I'm talking about. Listen to them. Make MX Simulator great again, baby.